Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. Coming up in today's newscast, Israeli jets strike Syria in retaliation. Israel helps Colombia clear deadly landmines, and a groundbreaking Israeli invention helps the paralyzed stand. I'm Natasha Kirchak here with the latest news in Israel. Israeli fighter jets targeted the Syrian regime's rocket launchers early this morning in retaliation for the latest spillover of military action into Israel's territory. Syrian television is claiming that the Syrian army shot down an Israeli fighter jet and drone, but the IDF is dismissing the claims as false, saying the real issue is that another projectile launched from Syria landed in Israel. The shell allegedly landed in Israel's side of the Golan Heights, and the IDF says it was a fifth such incident of cross-border fire to take place over the last week. No injuries were reported in the latest incident, but the errant fire came just hours after a nationwide ceasefire was brokered in Syria by Russia and the United States. The 48-hour truce came into force across Syria last night at 7 o'clock p.m., except for in areas held by jihadists like the Islamic State group. Syria's army has announced a 7-day freeze on military operations, but opposition forces have had yet to formally sign on, and the deal's fragility speaks directly to why errant Syrian fire landed in Israel after the ceasefire was put in place. The IDF has said that it holds a Syrian regime led by President Bashar Assad responsible for any aggression coming from its territory, which is why Israel hit several of the regime's rocket launchers in response to errant shellfire from the country. Yet Syrian state television says Israel was not successful in its response attack, reporting that the Syrian army shot down an Israeli fighter jet and drone before Israel could hit any Syrian targets. The IDF is denying the allegations and says the Israeli aircraft used to target Syrian artillery positions is safe. Landmines left over from past conflicts pose a grave threat to civilians and predominantly children who don't understand how dangerous they are. Now Israel is doing its best to eradicate this scourge by helping Colombia learn how to clear the weapons from its soil. An 8-member delegation from the South American nation has come to the Jewish state to find out how landmines can safely be extracted. Their nation was left littered with the weapons during the FARC insurgency that raged for the past 52 years. According to Colombia's National Center for Historical Memory, at least 220,000 people were killed in the bloody conflict, most of whom were civilians. Landmines have been a central feature of the conflict and have reportedly claimed over 11,000 lives. In April, thousands of Colombians ran to spread awareness about the dangers of landmines in the country in the Lend Your Leg 11K race. The run in the Colombian capital Bogotá was used to honor the victims of anti-personnel mines and celebrate the lives of those who survived the conflict, like Colombian Camilo Diaz.
Yo nací como todo mundo con mis dos piernas y corría y los invitaría para que nos acompañaran al evento porque cuando uno le pasa esta clase de accidente pues extraña mucho hacer deporte, extraña mucho correr y eso es lo que le incentiva a uno, querer digamos volver a hacer lo que hacía antes al máximo.
Last March, the Colombian government and the leftist guerrillas agreed to remove landmines and other explosives from the battlefield as a sign of progress towards peace.
En la actualidad, Colombia cuenta con 7 unidades tipo pelotón en operaciones de desminado humanitario, conformado por 300 miembros de las fuerzas militares, quienes a la fecha han logrado la limpieza y despeje de 380.000 metros cuadrados localizados y destruyendo 3.309 minas y artefactos explosivos improvisados, así como 403 municiones sin explotar.
In the mine clearance process, you have to remove all vegetation above ground before you can swing the detector. So about 95–96% of the deminers' time will be removing that surface vegetation before they can swing the detector and move forward.
Juan Romero is an ex-combatant who used to belong to an illegal armed group for 4 years. Now he's laid down his weapons and wants to contribute to building peace.
Aparte de eso, pues, frente a que desmovilizados o participantes del proceso de paz hagan parte de este proceso, pues también es algo muy importante porque Antes fuimos actores del conflicto, ahora somos actores de paz, actores de la construcción y de la transformación. Entonces me parece que es muy importante también que la gente vea que estamos contribuyendo a esa transformación nosotros como participantes del proceso de paz y antes victimarios.
Just last month, the Colombian government signed a peace deal with the rebels, and a national referendum on the accord will be held next month. Now, the Colombian delegation is in Israel for training at the Defense Ministry's National Mine Action Authority. Clearing mines is a dangerous process, and Colombia wants all the help and advice it can get from Israel.
Uno se arrodilla, empieza el día de labores, y uno lo primero que piensa, bueno, sé que aquí delante, donde yo no he despejado, pueden haber minas. Tengo que ser cautelosa, con cuidado. Sí existen nervios, ¿sí? Porque pues si uno dice que no está nervioso, pues entonces uno no iría con precaución. Pero uno sí va seguro porque tiene todo el conocimiento.
Helping clear mines is not the only assistance that Israel is giving to Colombia. Colombia is Israel's strongest ally in South America, and Jerusalem will also be providing its expertise in a range of post-conflict projects, such as the greater development of agricultural areas once under FARC control. This includes the replacement of the coca plant, used to produce cocaine, with healthier and badly needed crops. Israeli Justice Minister Ayelet Shaked has given some rare praise to Facebook and YouTube for having honored the majority of the Israeli government's recent request to remove content deemed insightful to Palestinian violence. Nevertheless, the legal chief makes it clear that there's still much to be done. Shaked made her remarks at an annual international conference on counterterrorism, where she revealed that Facebook has complied with about 95% of Israel's 158 specific requests between May and August this year. The YouTube subsidiary of Google agreed to remove hateful content from around 80% of the 13 objections it received, which the minister says is an improvement over its previous 50% rate of compliance. Even though she recognizes these statistics are impressive, Shaked insists that incitement is still running rampant on the internet. She and Public Security Minister Gilad Erdan have been leading efforts to force social media companies to become more active in combating inflammatory online activity they believe encourages violence. A delegation of Facebook executives is actually here in Israel now as part of what the company describes as its dialogue with governments worldwide. Other than describing their meeting with Israeli officials as constructive, the representatives declined to confirm Shaked's statistics. They also offered no comment on the reported request she and Erdan made, that posts be removed including phraseology such as intifada, stabbing, Nazis, and death to Jews, as well as those calling for death to Arabs. Both ministers also want to see YouTube take down any videos containing anti-Semitic caricatures or used to incite stabbing attacks. Zionist Union Knesset member Revital Swede has already submitted a bill requiring social networks be fined if they don't exercise greater self-monitoring. Facebook has long maintained that its community standards make it clear there is no place for terrorists or content that promotes terrorism. Since arriving in Tel Aviv, however, the company released an additional statement that online extremism can only be tackled with a strong partnership between policymakers, civil society, academia, and companies, which is true in Israel and around the world. There's no doubt that Facebook is becoming a key platform for public figures and a major political tool. ILTV's Steve Leibowitz sat down with top Israeli academic expert on the Arab world, Dr. Jonathan Spire, who recently experienced it on a more personal level after being removed from the network. Now he's back on Facebook and he's positive these actions are politically motivated.
Dr. Jonathan Spire, you're known as a leading Israeli intellectual. You're connected with a major Israeli university. You have articles published all the time. Well-known guy. And Facebook took you down.
Yeah, well, that's right. It was a very strange experience. I received, it's about a month ago now, out of the blue, a sudden message saying that my Facebook account had been disabled. I then looked into the mechanisms available to Facebook users to ask what had happened. They don't tell you automatically what had happened. And I wrote to the email address provided. And I was then told that my Facebook page had been permanently disabled. That's when you're not supposed to be able to do anything about it any further, because of support for violence and for violent organizations. And I then wrote a very angry letter saying, well, the only organisation I've ever supported which could remotely be described as violent are the legally constituted armed forces of the state of which I am a citizen, namely Israel, and possibly also some Kurdish groups in Iraq and Syria supported by the West and the United States. So I didn't quite get it. They didn't respond beyond that, and it took then a considerable campaign, public campaign of a number of friends of mine, organised by a number of friends of mine, eventually to get my Facebook page reinstated. But yeah, it was a very, very strange experience, and especially learn to get that sense of the extent to which Facebook is now a monopoly. And if you lose your Facebook access, you really do lose access to a massive platform for discussion, and also to a massive network of contacts. I lost all those. Thankfully, they've now been reinstated.
Did they ever go into any more detail about what it was that you were accused of that forced them to take? I mean, they allow viciously anti-Semitic groups. Yeah, they allow terrorist groups have access or affiliated.
Well, absolutely. I was just recently reading on Facebook this morning, a friend of mine put up a thing saying that as a result of a sort of experiment on this, it's been discovered that the phrase "kill all Jews" is not apparently regarded by Facebook as a violation of their community standards, as they call them. So it's very strange double standard indeed operating. No, I was never told in any detail, and it's part of the strangeness of the experience, I think, as well, that you as a Facebook user, we as Facebook users, are not told the reasons for for what's happened. Now, if you're someone like me that has a bunch of great people who wanted to help me, that eventually put pressure on them and it worked out. But if you weren't that, if you were just an ordinary user, you're in this very weak position where you're like, well, please tell me what I've done so I can at least defend myself or explain. And there's Facebook's response is, well, we're not going to tell you. We've just decided, and that's the end of that.
The head of Facebook is Mark Zuckerberg, who is Jewish, who has met with Israeli leaders, certainly not a supporter that we know of BDS or anything else anti-Israel. He watches our broadcast every day. What is your message to him?
Well, I think that there needs to be a clearer, more transparent policy with regard to protecting users and community standards. There needs to be, a known gauge by which people can be aware, of what sort of behavior is considered acceptable and unacceptable. And I think there also needs to be a change in the process whereby when a decision is taken to remove somebody, whereby that person, needs to be told why it's happened clearly, and perhaps given a real chance, to defend themselves before the decision to permanently delete the profile is taken.
Do you think that Israel, generally speaking, is making the best use of Facebook? I mean, in terms of getting its message across to people, or are we accessing Facebook as we should be?
Well, I think there's been a great deal of improvement in recent years. I mean, I think if we look back over the last decade, as social media itself has proliferated and advanced, and we look at the various conflicts Israel's been involved in, in the Second Lebanon War, Israeli communication strategy on social media was more or less non-existent. And by Cast-led in 2008-2009, it had improved. And I think since then, with every operation, we've seen a considerable improvement in terms of the time it's taken for Israeli organizations to respond. And I think also, importantly, the proliferation of pro-Israel NGOs, not just relying on the kind of big, cumbersome organizations of state, but rather doing kind of what the other side does, which is building up a network of NGOs, of genuine, energetic activists who are up there on Facebook and Twitter, ready to respond in real time. So yeah, I think there's still a long way to go, of course, and there's always room for improvement, but I think there has been considerable improvement in recent years.
Dr. Jonathan Spire, thanks so much for being with us at ILTV.
Shopping lovers, we have big news for you. What if I told you your salesman could read your mind and figure out everything from your favorite color to your favorite materials? This soon may be possible thanks to Software AG, whose innovative center is based here in Israel. Joining us now is a company CEO, Eran Alroy. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So to begin, tell us about what your company does.
The company Software AG, what it's doing is integrating the massive data that exists in the systems of the organization with whatever exists in the world, in the social network, in the data centers. We're not really predicting what's in your mind, but we're unable to predict what you are going to do with the massive data that exists everywhere, while we integrate it into one system that can help you make decisions and better decisions.
So, from what I understand, you guys can also, in many senses, tell the buyer's mood. What does that mean? How can you do that?
Well, as a matter of fact, this is something that was developed in the last couple of years because we can really look at your face and decide whether you, first of all, we can decide what is the gender, and then which is quite easy to find out. And you can really decide what is the mood by the way the face is being analyzed in such a way that you can say whether you are sad or whether you are happy. And with this algorithm, you can really detect and understand what is the mood you are coming into the bank, for example. Are you going to be in a very serious mood that you enter, that you know it's going to be rough to give you a loan? Or are you going to come with a light mood, with a smile that you know, for example, that you can give a loan and you can discuss some new offering of the bank? Or either you go to a basic store, not necessarily a bank. Right. So you can really detect it by looking it into your face, analyzing this data. And let's say that in the future, you can really connect it and integrate it to what is your habit in the social network, and you can really build a full portfolio in real-time basis. While you wait in line, you can see what is your mood, you can analyze your face. If you permit, we can detect your name in advance and tell you exactly what you desire, what you like, what your habit.
So, but how does this work? I mean, what is actually the actual platform that a person is using for you to be able to determine that? You can't read my face through the internet, right?
I can read your face even with the camera that exists in every store that is for theft prevention. Don't forget, every store that you go in, you have plenty of cameras. Everywhere you go now, there is a camera, right? You go to the automatic teller machine, there is a camera for safety reasons, for many other reasons. So today, basically, there is a camera almost everywhere. What you have to install is a specific software that enables you to detect the mood that you are in at this point in time. This is also an easy part. The challenging part is this algorithm that knows how to integrate your mood into the offering of the entity that you are going to. Okay, because, okay, let's say that I'm in a good mood. What does it mean now if I go to Starbucks? Does it mean that I have to match it?
Right.
Okay, I have to match it with the mood to what I have to offer. And if you will permit me, I can do it also with your social habits. So our challenge and what we developed is the ability to integrate this massive information that exists from you as the individual to the company who would like to sell something to you. But the social network is very, very important as well. And today it is still limited with a lot of privacy acts, but we assume that in the future privacy will be loosened or not. We'll have to see what will happen, and that will really enable to predict more accurate what you really want and what you really need.
Now, what is your company's latest innovation?
Well, the latest innovation, I would say, you probably heard of this terminology of IoT, which is Internet of Things, and many people call it Internet of Everything. But we would like to call it Intelligent of Things, because if you take what I just said before, every item is going to be very intelligent. Everything that you have, everything that you're going to buy is going to give you a certain data. Everything that is on the shelf is going to give some data. So, and every item that you're going to wear, every item you're going to consume, now imagine that you can match all this data that is available on all the items in the world to the individual needs. That's what we are doing. That's what we're working on. The more data will be available as Internet of Things, the more those devices will be able to give us information, the more we'll be able to satisfy your personal needs and to integrate this massive information.
Now, how do you guys come up with these ideas?
Well, many of the ideas are coming from a lot of pressure and challenges that people and customers are asking you. We have this issue. We would like to be the first one in the marketing business, which today is very, very difficult. But everyone wants to be out of the box. Everyone wants to be very, very creative. So we have an R&D center in Software AG. Part of it is in Israel, also in other places around the world. And those people are kind of providing the solutions for business ideas that are coming from the market. So you have these technology guys who are sitting one next to the other, say, oh, well, there is this business idea. Let's see what is the barrier, the technological barrier to break it through. And we try harder, and then we come to a solution. We do what we call a proof of value. We would like to exhibit what we developed to the customer. By the way, today everyone wants to see value. It's not a technology concept. And once you exhibit the value for the customer, they go for it, and they want to try it, and the other one wants to try something different. Everyone wants to be different, not to imitate the other. This is a big challenge for us as a technology provider. You have to be different in every time that you go to the market, in every product. It's not that you want to multiply what you did a minute ago. The next day you have to be very different. And the technology has a major role in being different over here.
So the technology that your company is offering right now, when can we expect to be able to use it? When can companies expect to be able to actually incorporate what you guys have created into how they shape their own businesses?
Well, you can use it now. For example, there are major hotel chains in the world that are using the mood detection while you get off your car before the lobby and you enter the carpet to go into the hotel lobby in very fancy hotels. And they can detect whether you are, what is your mood?
So these are cameras that are maybe coming in the entrance of the building?
Yes,
of the
exactly.
hotel? Okay.
Just a camera that is not really, and even without the personal information, I can really know whether you're in the mood to offer you an upgrade or a special thing, or maybe not to waste my time because you are very busy after work and you're not in the mood, so you don't waste time. And time means a lot of money. So we can know it now. It's not right now, it's available.
Are there
already.
any privacy issues with this, though? I mean, I don't know if, as a person just getting out of my car, going into a hotel, if I necessarily want somebody to be analyzing how I'm feeling through a camera, right? Do I have to sign a waiver saying that it's okay for you to analyze my face in that way?
I tell you, there is no waiver needed when you analyze because there is no personal data that is coming into the picture. I would say, and I would argue that it's going to take a long time until anyone will be able to take this picture of you and analyze it with whatever exists in the social network. Okay, that needs a waiver. But what I'm doing, for example, there is something that people like very much, that you can set the analytics for the age. What does it mean? People like very, very much that you tell them that they are younger, for example, okay? And imagine that you approach someone who is 47 and tell them, oh, you look like you are 38. Everyone likes that, right? So this software enables you also to have some fun in it. It's not necessarily the right detection that you want to analyze. You want to create something different with it, okay? But you can predict the exact age. But everyone likes to be younger. So you can say, I understand that you are 38, for whatever, and you are 47. So it's good for you, just for the sake of the conversation. So it's not the personal data. What you are saying from waiver point of view, it's personal data. I'm not using any personal data. And we eliminate, the technology eliminates we don't keep those pictures. We don't have nothing to do with it, okay?
That's the most important thing. Well, look, it looks like what you guys have created is our future. I mean, I'm interested to see how this shapes the future of retail, of most businesses. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you very much. Good day.
All right, everybody, for my favorite story of the day, a new Israeli invention is about to undergo clinical trials by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs in New York, where it's expected to help restore dignity and pride among wounded warriors. It's the Up and Ride, a self-stabilizing wheelchair that can help everyone in the paralyzed community move upright for the first time since their injuries. Passing the American vets and another trial will help gain the Israeli robotics startup regulatory approval for the device. It will also ensure health insurance coverage for some of the cost, which is estimated to run somewhere in the middle of the $15,000 to $50,000 price for current high-end products. After those stages, Up and Ride will officially be launched at a medical conference in Germany next month and hit the market as early as next year. It's already being used by its Israeli creator Amit Gofer too. Until now, the 63-year-old has been confined to a wheelchair since an all-terrain vehicle accident in 1997. He previously designed the Rewalk exoskeleton to help people paralyzed from the waist down to walk. That was great, but only about 10% of people confined to wheelchairs, including Gofer himself, have sufficient upper body function to use it. So he came up with his new 4-wheel chair, which uses self-stabilizing software and a gyroscope, similar to that in a 2-wheeled Segway. Now Gopher and many others will be able to maneuver upright over uneven urban terrain. This is far superior to devices of the past which can only travel short distances and never over sloped ground. The act of standing helps people with serious spinal cord injuries to avoid cardiovascular, respiratory, and other problems. But it's not only a medical solution. Perhaps even more importantly, there are dramatic psychological benefits. Up and Right allows users to finally participate in face-to-face conversations with others, which Gopher says reinstills their dignity and self-esteem by removing them from the fringe and helping them once again take their places in the core of society. And now for our Hebrew word of the day. Being a human is a given, but keeping our humanity is a choice. So today's word is ben Adam, which means human in Hebrew. The literal translation of the word is son of Adam, ben meaning son, and Adam meaning Adam. But you don't have to be a son, or for that matter even Adam's son, to be a good human being. It's okay to make mistakes. After all, we are just human. Just make sure your mistakes are founded in good intentions. Israelis like to encourage one another by saying Tiye ben Adam, or be a good human, whether that comes in the form of adopting a dog in need or simply offering your help to a stranger. And if you do prove your humanity with a good deed, don't be surprised if you're given a pat on the back and told Eze ben Adam, or what a human. Almost every ben Adam derives pleasure from doing good to others, even if it just comes down to giving a compliment. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. Tomorrow is expected to be sunny with a high of 89 degrees. The sun should stay out through Thursday with the temperature rising to 90. Alright everybody, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.77 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at iltv.tv, and don't forget to check out our next update at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching, and see you tonight.